Nice. Good morning, everyone. This is Q&A number 14. It's gone pretty fast. Movement meditation for me is still ongoing. This is my fifth day in a row. So I know last week I was probably on 7 days, and then the weekend hit. Well, hopping back on that horse, still doing the movement meditation. Need to get 100 days in a row. Still no coffee. I don't know how many days. I stopped counting the days only because I don't want to think about it. But I'm just letting you guys know the things that I'm doing during this quarantine. And it may be easier to not have coffee now because I can't go to coffee shops really. So that may be the reason why I'm not having coffee for this long. So I'm good with that. This morning in my cup, go Niners, chicken broth from Kettle on Fire. But I am defrosting some chicken backs to make some chicken stock for our family. So this may be a weird breakfast for you guys, but it is it's still a new breakfast because of the new addition for Quest, but what we perceive what breakfast is here in the United States is not breakfast everywhere. And lo and behold, most of the breakfast foods that we hold dear to our hearts, like growing up with all those cereals and all that stuff, may not be the best things. And if we change the way that we're looking at breakfast, is like, it's a free for all. You could eat meat, you could eat, different things. You could eat mashed potatoes, I don't know, sweet potatoes if you wanted to, because it's a better complex carb. But so what Quest ate this morning was beef tongue and beets. And I thought it was hilarious. Andrea and I were testing out the Instant Pot. I normally cook beef tongue for about four hours till it gets soft, and then you slice it up and you do your thing with it. You could put it in tacos, you could put it in stews, you could do it in this, but then it needs that first long boil to make it nice and tender and delicious. And stuck it in the Instant Pot, 50 minutes, done. And those of you who haven't eaten beef tongue, it is so tender and juicy. I guess it depends on how you cook it, but it's essentially tender and juicy, and it breaks away. The flavor is there. I just put salt in the water and take it. This is pasture raised beef from Llano Seco, a really great, not just meat purveyor, but they have heirloom beans and all that stuff, but super delicious. Very funny breakfast for me. Quest had a red face. So he loves beets. He actually loves beets probably more than anything right now. So yeah.
What's up, everyone?
Have you ever eaten have you ever cooked beef tongue? You probably had beef tongue.
I've never cooked beef tongue, no.
Yeah, it takes a long time to cook beef. You gotta cook it for about 2 to 4 hours, I believe, and then you process it. You kind of peel off the taste bud layers, and then you either slice it, chop it up, and then you put it in your tacos or in your stew or whatnot. But we put it in the Instant Pot, and 50 minutes, super moist, super tender. It's just salt. Like, I just put salt, and it was delicious. It was like moist, and you wouldn't know that it's like a tongue because of, it's kind of like stew. It's like a stew meat, kind of,
Sure.
because it held its it held its structure, but then when you put it in your mouth, it kind of melts in there. So
Yeah, it's one of those parts of the animal that they use a lot, right?
yeah,
So that part normally, actually, from pretty much like every time, if when you go to cook an animal part, if you're not sure how long or how you should be cooking it, one good rule of thumb to keep in mind that you probably already know is to think about how much was that body part used, right? So if you think about the tenderloin, one of the reasons why it seems to be so tender is because it's very underutilized. The animal doesn't use that muscle that much, if at all, right? And the tongue is being used all the time. Cows are constantly chewing on stuff, constantly eating things. So it's so tough. So which means, so if it's tough, you got to cook it longer. Tenderloin, you can sear it on each side and eat it rare, and it'll still be pretty tender. But like that tongue, you got to braise it low and slow, or if you've got an Instapot, like you said, cook a little bit faster. But yeah,
yeah,
I do like tongue tacos for sure.
yeah.
Love me some tongue tacos.
Those I'm missing those right now. Although I haven't had any in a long time. And what I mean by long time is probably like 2 months.
Might be an
Usually,
eternity for someone who loves tongue tacos.
yes. I mean, I grew up. Tongue is something because it takes so long to cook. Um, it's something that we make during like Christmas time. Yeah, mainly in the colder months. It's more of a stew, and I think it's really delicious, really good. Angela loves it. She didn't grow up eating it, and she's very scared of I guess processing it. Like she didn't know what I was just like stick it in the Instant Pot, 50 minutes. Just put a little bit of salt in there just for flavor, and just peeling it is super easy. It just like comes right off, and then boom, it's right there.
Yeah.
And then she was like, I thought it would be a lot harder. I was like, no, man. Like the slow cooking does everything for you.
Yeah, it really does.
It flavors if you put in the salt or whatever seasonings you want, aromatics if you wanted to, but just the salt and good meat and you're set.
Yeah, totally. Just kind of taking a slight pivot. I wanted to make sure that we took a second to let everyone know how much we appreciate them in terms of like showing up to these Q&As, showing up to your classes, and then also like just supporting not only like your community. When I say your, I mean like you all watching this video, your community, your family, staying strong and setting a good example for all of those around you. And then on behalf of us from Filosofitness, I want to thank you all for supporting us and just showing up and continuing to, come to class and participate, because we know it's super challenging and it's it's hard and it's uncomfortable and it's weird and it's not what you signed up for and it's right, but you're still showing up. And that's exactly how you get it done. That's exactly how you reach your dreams, your results, your goals. And it's been, Mike and I have talked about this. It's been very, very like amazing and cool to see you all do what you're doing right now, even though, again, it isn't necessarily what you wanted. Like just to see you continue to show up and do day in and day out, come to the classes, participate on Pro Coach, right? Follow through with the text messaging, call us back, all of these things that you need, all of these variables that you need to plug into your equation that's going to give you that solution, give you that result, give you that goal, and you're doing it. And it's very, very hard to do. So I just want to take a second to say thank you all so much for supporting us, for all of your hard work, your outstanding mindset, your support, your example that you're giving to your community, as well as your family. The example that you shine upon us coaches, it's very, very inspirational. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be here to serve you all and be able to work with you all, be on this journey with you. So I just want to take a second. And
I feel 100% what Coach Chris said, and so I won't have to repeat it. Thank you, Coach Chris. Everyone, you're awesome. You're amazing. And yeah, it's been a very fun ride for I know for Chris, but for me as well, because just like Coach mentioned, we didn't neither Coach Chris or I had, we didn't go into it thinking this is what we want to do, and it's not ideal, but we're actually making things happen. And I love the community that we're building. I love all that participation is a big thing. And I think a lot of you are starting to meet other people in our community. And, you know, it's harder because we show up to class and then we leave and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're like, oh, we're good.
Yeah.
But now it's like people are participating, people are talking to each other, people are posting positive stuff up. And that's the big thing. I think that positivity, yes, there's positivity that could just be thrown in the wind, but there's also constructive positivity that what we're doing, we're building ourselves, we're building our community, we're building our bodies. And so, yeah, to build up on top of Coach Chris, what Coach Chris said, you guys are all amazing.
Yeah, Everett, you're all amazing. Yeah, I was on a roundtable talk yesterday with Jator. He's a kind of like a mental, emotional, gut health coach, Czech practitioner. And we had two other women on the call with us who are rock stars. One is a branding expert. Her name is Laura. And another is like a holistic health and wellness studio owner. And essentially their type of training is just like ours, right? Movement literacy, nutrition, mindset. And it was just crazy, like hearing like what, you know, these other experts are doing during this time. But it was even crazier to hear the one common like thing that we as business owners all had. And that was like, we had the privilege to work with amazing people, which makes like what we do, even though it's hard work and we've got long days, it doesn't seem like work because of who we're doing it for, who we're doing it with. And it really, really reminded me of how much of like living the dream. Like, I don't want to speak for you. I hope you are, Mike, but I know for me, like it's another reminder that I'm absolutely living the dream. Like the long days and the early mornings and things like that. For me, like it's not like when I was milking cows as a kid or when I was working in a warehouse factory and had to get up so early. Like I literally remember sitting up, both milking cows, primarily when I worked at the factory. I was a warehouse factory selector. I had a headset on. A machine told me what case and how many cases to pick from each slot in this huge freezer. And I drove a pallet jack and I had to like jump off of the pallet jack because it was case incentive. So the money you made, it was determined by how many cases you selected each hour on the hour. So you had to be hustling the whole time. So I remember I did that for about a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
But I remember getting up and sitting on the edge of my bed and just like every morning, because we had to get up at 6:30. I remember just going like, oh, like every morning. And it was just like, and I'm glad I went through that because now I know what it feels like for sure to do something that you absolutely don't love. And thanks to, again, the amazing people that we have, I hate to go backwards, but like, you know, thanks to what we have and what we're able to be a part of, like I'm able to not only like live my dream by like helping people get to where they want to be and get out of pain and be the woman or man that they want to be, the example. But also it's like I'm literally able to do what I love, which allows, which it gives me fuel to do more, to learn more, to scale more. It gives me energy. So yeah, that was a really, really cool talk yesterday. That was probably the biggest, craziest thing that I noticed.
Yeah. So go more into, because Jator, I'm very familiar with Jator. And I mean, for you and I, the way we met was he went through a very similar system that we're going through, but he's a little bit up there. He has years in front of him and he's helping so many people, but what else does he do? I know he does a little bit of a lot.
Yeah. His primary jam right now, his main focus, his practice, if you will, primarily focuses on helping you like helping you highlight triggers inside of yourself, helping you figure out, why have you been unable to make this habitual shift? Why are you, going back and having, what's the word I'm looking for? Why are you self-sabotaging? Why are you unable to change your mindset around money? A lot of it's just, he's going like deeper than the soil level for a lot of people when it comes to changing themselves.
Yeah.
So if you think about someone who wants to lose weight, a very topical or like or fruit level, right, which is like something that grows from the plant, that grows from the soil. The fruit level will just be, oh, do these exercises and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right. But if we go to the plant level that's producing the fruit, it will probably be a combination of like, stretch, drink a lot of water, and do this exercise. Right. If you go to the soil level, it's like, okay, cool. We got to stretch, we got to exercise, we got to eat well. But what we need to look at here is like, how are your habits? And I want to learn more about your thought process and your reaction to certain things when you eat certain things, or what kind of, habits do you have before you go to bed? How do you feel when you go to bed before 9? And then to go even deeper than that soil level, which is what Jator essentially does, is to basically sit down and say, all right, cool. Well, when was the last time, when you were a kid, do you remember having anything comparable to the experience that you have right now? This experience of you don't want to work out, this experience of you not being able to get along with your partner, this experience of you, right? All these things that aren't going well. Can you figure out, or do you remember something, a specific type of relationship that you have with your mom or your dad or your sister? Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's talk about that. So it's almost like he's not a therapist or psychiatrist, but he's taking, he's a certified mental emotional coach. So he's taking these things that have happened in your life and helping you bring them back up and acknowledge them instead of suppressing them. Because what we know about suppression when it comes to habits and things like that, it does yourself a disservice every time. If you suppress that feeling of, I shouldn't eat those brownies, if you suppress that feeling of, man, I should have worked out, but I didn't, man, I'm just going to forget about it, right? When we suppress these things, they tend to come back in a almost like as a bigger beast of like binge eating, or never working out for like another 2-3 weeks, or things like that, just because you never really get a chance to acknowledge or be empathetic to the part of yourself that didn't want to do that, or decided not to go to bed on time, or decided to eat that huge piece of cheesecake at 12 o'clock, whatever it is. Yeah. So what he helps you do is he helps you acknowledge, and this is some of the things that we talk about too with our members as well. We help everyone kind of remember that it's very important to acknowledge, little Melanie, little Mike, little T, right? That part of you that maybe you decided to quiet and not acknowledge and not play with and not talk to, not, right? So it's been really, really cool because I actually work with him. He's my one-on-one me coach. So we talk probably through 2-3 times a month just to check in and make sure I'm on top of my stuff, because coaches need coaches, right?
Yes, that was the next thing I was going into, because I am doing, we do have group, it's more of a group one-on-one Zoom calls with Mike Salemi.
Nice.
And that, him bringing in, just like what you were saying, where Jator is kind of, let me backtrack a little bit. So for us at Filosofitness, we're an easier entrance for most people. And I like to believe, and I know this is how Chris thinks, is we're the easy entrance, so we could dive a little bit deeper and change your philosophy on what you think working out is.
100%.
The tour goes way, like, he understands, or he knows how to pull from you what's really stopping you, and that's very difficult for a lot of coaches to do. So what we see as a trainer is that low, not even lowest hanging fruit, but it's the what you see. And that trainer is going to tell you what you probably already know or what you hear.
Yeah.
And they're just filling your want, not the need, but filling your want. And at Filosofitness, we want to give you what you want and then give you what you need. And Jator he's such a great practitioner because I follow his I almost started his was it something 60?
Restore 360.
Restore 360.
Yeah, I'm in that right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
I tried to get Angela into it because I know she really wants to become, she really wants to help a lot of people
Yeah.
on body image and all that kind of stuff that's what she's been dealing with all her life, and she's gotten to a better place, and she knows she needs to get more deeper into that mental emotional state, and that's where a lot of Czech practitioners gravitate towards, is that mental emotional coaching. And so she's working with Sarah Gustafson. She's a high level HLC. Her and her husband live in Austin, but she's doing that. Her intake is I think it's 2 weeks. So it's crazy to see because we're in it, and we're slowly easing into really understanding the human concept, right?
Yeah.
Of what makes a human, because it's not just the body.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because that's a really big thing that as I as I continue to do this as a practitioner, coach, business owner, like it's something that I'm starting to realize more and more, that it's so important that we don't skip over, because I think, and you've probably saw this too, where we've been in situations where we skipped over that. When I mean by skip over, what I mean is we've brought people into the culture that don't necessarily vibe with that 100%.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think that it's super, super important to make sure that whoever is willing to commit and come into the culture, into the family, and just be a part of something like this and grow, they at least have to be open to the idea of understanding that it's so much more than the plant and the fruits, like we just talked about. So much more than just sweating and working out, right?
Yeah.
It's so much more than that. And it's something that, again, as I continue to do this and as I grow in this industry and as I learn more, it just becomes that much more vital to make sure that those who come on board and give us the opportunity and the pleasure to be a part of their journey to better themselves and be the person that they know they deserve to be. It's essential, super, super essential to make sure that, like, oh, okay, cool. So, so you're open to understanding that it's a lot deeper than just eating and just working out. There's some thinking, there's some spirituality involved here, right? There's some emotional work that we're going to invite you to dive into. Like, as long as you're open to that, I think you're in a good place. But
and in your intake, when you're asking the clients those whys, that's you digging underneath the soil, trying to get to the roots. But we need, just like you're saying, you need to be open to this thing, or you need to be open to the concept of what we can be and where things are coming from.
Yeah.
And for it to happen. And I think that's the magic of Filosofitness right now, is because you go in, someone's like, I want to lose weight. And then you ask them why. And all of you guys who are watching, Coach Chris, when he's asking you those whys, you're just like, I just told them. Yeah. And he's just like, why? And then you're like, oh, it's a little bit this, a little bit this. And the thing is about our journey, especially in fitness, the people, fitness and exercise, the people who make or reach their goals are the large goals, not the smaller goals of like, I just lost 5 pounds. But the larger goals of like, I love myself. I love what I'm doing. Those type of things, or I'm happier with my family type of goals. Um, they're the people who probably didn't realize it, but they dove deep and found out that intrinsic, that thing that Coach Chris really tries to take out of you. And again, it's that first visit or second visit with Coach Chris that he tries to take out a little bit more of you. But in class, that's what I feel like I miss the most, is being in class with you guys and trying to, dig a little bit deeper, trying to, so that we could help you reach those far off goals that you guys may not think about right now. Yeah. But guess what? That 10 pounds had to be lost because you were thinking a little bit more, not about that 10 pounds. You were thinking, if I lose the 10 pounds, I get to run with my daughter, right? If I feel and move a little bit better, I could pick up my kids or my grandkids a little bit better. And it took that kind of thinking. So Chris and I, we dove a little bit deep in the very beginning for those of you who we lost. But this is what we're talking about. We're talking about those deeper things, but it goes even deeper than that. And that's where I feel like really great coaches, even coaches on in the NBA, they understand that. They understand it at a very basic level. And when you see teams working together, guess what? You look at what they're doing in the community. They're doing something a little bit bigger, because a lot of them didn't grow up in great communities, and that had a big effect on them. And so therefore they're giving back. And when they give back, they get more back.
Totally.
And so like that's what Coach Chris Jator, he's master class up there. Mike Salemi, my coach, he does talk about that kind of stuff. But I could tell that he is more on the movement side, but we've been working on a lot of work-ins. Cool. We've been working on a lot of mobilizations. Like I really like his cueing. His cueing is unreal. And then he'll have, because it's different modules, and then he'll go into that mental emotional stuff of cueing in on after that mobilization, of cueing in of having a morning routine, and just having that movement meditation type of thing, and seeing what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Or feeling what you're feeling, really. Yeah. And so like I think those, like, for everyone who's looking at other coaches in the sense of right now there's a lot of free stuff going on, I really want you to really think about, are they just doing these movements to just get us to keep moving, or are they getting us to that goal that we want? And I feel like that's what great coaches offer, is that not just training linearly or just going in a straight line, but we want to be able to go up, and we're going to always have those downs. But those are understanding that mental emotional state, understanding, hey, I know you had your kids had a birthday this weekend. Like that type of connection is the greatest, I think, healing power. I think that because just like Coach Chris touched upon, where was there something, why do you not want to work out? Because a lot of us do, and for me, like there was a time where I'm like, I could give myself a reason not to. But right now we don't have a reason not to, and we have to figure out why we're shooting ourselves in the foot, why we know, and you could dive more into this, why we know that this food that I'm putting in my body is going to be bad, but why do I choose to do it? And with your more years in training people in nutrition, what do you find the most narrative thing, what clients are saying to themselves when they kind of shoot themselves in the foot?
Most people tend to have again, like a surface level response of I don't know, I just wanted it. or I deserved it. I had a long day, I deserved it. Or it was the only thing that was in my refrigerator or in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what I've seen commonly. And what happens, part of the reason why most people get to that point, myself included sometimes, is because of a lack of being proactive. So what happens is most people end up in a reactive state of, I deserve this. This is all I have in my house. It's been a long day and I'm not really sure. I was just tired. That's the reactive state. Okay. So you react while you're in that situation of, all right, well, I'll just eat this. It's here. So what we got to do is helping people, or what we do with our members and with our clients, and we as coaches, we have to do this with ourselves because it's continuous, is we have to shift our self-identity of what we identify with and go back further down the chain of what happened. Okay, cool. Now I have a better idea of what to do next time. So if we were to go back further down the chain with Bob, who had something, he had the cookies because that was all he had in the house and he deserved it, right? And he had it yesterday. Yesterday was Thursday. If we look further back down the chain from Tuesday to Thursday, oh, Bob, looks like here on your food journaling, you weren't sleeping too well, right? It also looks like you had an argument with your brother about some family stuff. Oh, it also looks like you didn't have a chance to stay on top of your favorite TV show that you watch in the middle of the day. That's kind of like your Dr. Happy, right? Cool. Oh, it also looks like you forgot to go grocery shopping. You forgot to go to the farmer's market. Okay. So if we look at the first one of Bob not getting the sleep, you and I know, and some of our members know as well, that your sleep hygiene will absolutely, it'll absolutely affect your satiety levels. It'll affect your cravings. It'll affect
your blood sugar levels.
Blood sugar,
goes low, and then you want something, then it shoots up. Then you get those cravings later, and it's just that snowball effect.
Yeah. So that's a stressor right there, right? It's a variable. Okay. If we look at, so we said sleep hygiene. If we look at the arguments that he had with his brother, okay, cool. That's going to be more emotional, kind of limbic stress right there. That he's fighting with his brother, something that's probably been going on for a while now. Okay, boom. There's another stressor. If we look at the stressor of not watching the TV show and visiting Dr. Happy on a regular basis, right? That's another one where it's like, okay, cool. Well, you haven't been like dumping out your cup and so that you have more space to fill it back up. You haven't been dumping it out by meaning relaxing, unplugging from arguments with your brother, work, all these other things, and enjoying your favorite TV show for an hour, whatever it is a day, right? That thing that makes you happy. Cool. That's a variable right there, right? And then the fourth thing, you didn't go grocery shopping. All right, so that means you weren't necessarily set up. You didn't even have an opportunity to eat your lean protein, healthy fat, healthy vegetable, smart carb, because you didn't have it in the house, right? So we kind of have to go backwards further down the chain and say, Bob, here's four major things here that had we had the opportunity to be a little more proactive with these things further down the chain on Tuesday. Yesterday, when you had these issues of crushing that entire pack of cookies, right? That isn't necessarily supporting your goals. It isn't just because of it. It's deeper than you deserved it, and it was all that was in your house, and you were tired. It's deeper than that, right? Reactive, proactive. So now let's look at how we can be a little more proactive starting next week. How's that sound? Okay, cool. And then from there, it's simply talking about and agreeing on like one or two really small things that you can commit to, right? That you can adhere to, whether it's can you commit to putting in your schedule that you're going to watch your favorite thing for 30 minutes that makes you feel happy, that makes you laugh every day? Cool. Can you put in your schedule that you're going to spend 5 minutes writing down, building a menu for yourself? Cool. Awesome. Just and then maybe if you're able to crush that next week, the week after that, we'll talk about another habit that maybe involves you taking that list to the grocery store. But for now, let's just focus on these little things. So it's like brick by brick, right?
Yeah.
These are the conversations that we're having with our clients, but they're also the lessons that you're getting on a regular basis, that's drip fed on a regular basis through Pro Coach, through your online lessons, that some of us may, we're out of school and we don't want to do the lessons and we don't want to answer the questions, but it's an extra variable that will 100% catapult your progress in terms of how fast you're going to be getting to that goal. Because again, it starts with that self-identity. We have to go from, I eat this whenever I want. I work out. I don't know. I go to bed. I don't know. Right? We go from this identity to the new identity of like, these things in my life are all non-negotiables. It's a non-negotiable. I drink half my body weight in ounces of water. Or I try to as much as possible. Non-negotiable. It's a non-negotiable. I try to eat 80-20. 80% of my foods is local organic, right? I try to eat clean as much as possible. It's a non-negotiable. I move every day. I get some type of movement in. I don't have to be sweating, kicking my own butt, but I'm moving every day. It's a non-negotiable. My sleep hygiene is a priority because I know what this is going to do and how lack of sleep can affect cognitive decline. It can speed it up. We don't want that. Like I want to make sure that I'm taking care of my mind, my body, and I'm also burning fat efficiently, which is directly related to sleep hygiene as well. So all of these things, it's to answer your question, Coach. The common thing that I've seen is missing something that's most people missing something that's right in front of them. It's like they're looking for their glasses when it's on their head. They're looking for their belt. Where do I put my belt when it's already on their waist, right? And we all do it. Like it's kind of a gray analogy, but I think you're picking up what I'm putting down. It's like it's something that's already there, but they just need a coach to stand beside them and show them, hey, have you thought about this? Have you tried that? And another cool analogy too that I heard a long time ago is for coaches is like, coach, a really, really good coach is someone who is going to, it's like you live in this town, right? And this person, historian, town expert, knocks on your door. This historian is the coach. It says, hey, let me show you around. Oh, you didn't know you had a butcher right here? Yeah, there's your butcher. Oh, you didn't know you had an awesome, outstanding mechanic right next door? Yeah, here's your mechanic. Her name is Francis, right? Like the coach is helping you, is walking you along the journey, but also helping you like point things out that are already right there that could totally change the way you move and change your health and your mindset and things like that. It's pretty amazing stuff. Like if you sit down and think about it and kind of take a look back, kind of reverse engineer the process.
And I mean, that's why you're with us. I like to believe that's why you guys are with us, is you need that historian, right? And hearing Coach Chris explain why most people, and he's not putting most people in that bucket, but that's kind of like that big funnel. Everyone kind of falls into that. I deserve it. I do this. I'm mad, and I do this too. And a great thing, because I'm always seeking out either mentors or coaches or some sort of knowledge. And one tidbit that came from, I can't remember, it was a podcast. And again, I like to dive into that mental, emotional kind of thing, because that's where I feel the most change could happen from us. And one thing that they said about when you're craving stuff, right? It's usually because, so the next time you have craving, the next time you're under stress and you stress eat, figure out what you're trying to stress eat. Because those of us, when we're younger, it depends on how we got rewarded. Let's say we got, we're in our families and something happened. There's an argument between our two parents and our parents felt bad for us. So what did they do? They grabbed us some ice cream, right? Or let's say someone did something bad to us and when we're younger and we're often given something, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. We're given a treat, or we're eating something to make ourselves feel good.
Yes.
During that time, because we're very young, and for those of you to try to console a young child, it takes a little bit more of talking it through than an adult. So
Yeah.
most people, or a lot of people, or even it's just at the house where kids are upset or something happens to them, and they're like, uh, "You could have this,"
Yeah.
and you're given this thing that you usually don't have. And now we're adults, and we're stressed out at work. What are you looking for? Are you looking for those Cheeto bags that your dad used to get you on times when you had a bad day at school, and he'd be like, you know what? You had a bad day at school today. I'm gonna get you some Cheetos, and you're like, yeah, I love Cheetos,
Yeah.
right? Do you usually go to the Cheetos? And this may not help you, but this helps me of when I am, you know, being just an adult, we we're just trying to live our lives, and then when we think we're hungry, we're going to reach whatever we want, or we're going to have cravings. And I want us to, if you can, tie your cravings to something. And so let's say those bag of Cheetos, you're reaching for those bag of Cheetos, and you're just going to try to recall why Cheetos. You don't often have Cheetos. You only have it when you're stressed. What happened to you before? And that just puts a name or a face to something. So you're like, because you already know those Cheetos are not going to help you, it's not going to give you health. And so that's a big thing that I've been doing the past couple of days, and is really dialing in. Because for me, it's growing up, I had it's this bread called pan de sal. And what's in it is hydrogenated oil. And I know how I feel from it. And what I do is, because it's at the house. I mean, there's a lot of people. It's a Filipino thing. It's usually always there during breakfast time, and but I know how I feel, and I know what's in there, and I always tie it with, I only want this because when I was young, I wanted that. I don't want that now. Like, I would rather have ice cream, but I'm craving this thing and I don't have ice cream, but I'm not going to put that in my face. So I try to tie it with a reason why I want this. And that's kind of where Coach Chris was going with it, was you had that argument, but let's dive a little bit deeper on the actual food that you're choosing, because we all know that uh, that food is not going to help us. It's not going to get us there. It's not going to keep us on track. And we may deserve certain things, right? And the way I do that thing that I deserve, and I don't like saying I deserve, because we deserve everything, but I like to say, when I want something that is not going to serve me at the health level, but it's going to serve me at the soul level, I want it to be like grand. If I want ice cream, I'm going to go out and well, we can't go out right now, but it, other than these times now, I would go out and go to a place that maybe the ice cream is a little bit more expensive, but I'm not going to buy a pint. I'm just going to get, what I want from a great place. Same thing with beer. If I want beer, I'm not going to go for like a Budweiser or a Miller Lite. And no offense to anyone who likes that, but I want it to cost a little bit more, because I want to add value to that thing, because it's not going to add health to me. This thing is not going to add more health in the sense of physical health, but it may add, if I'm enjoying it with someone and we're talking about it, we're talking about stuff, I'm just going to match that thing that's not for health. I'm going to match it with something else. Oh, it costs a little bit more. I don't get this all the time. I'm enjoying it with someone. And I think that might help a lot of us if we start really, like we were talking about, diving a little bit deeper. So then we're like, oh, this is why we always get Cheetos. We're not mindlessly eating Cheetos. We're just feeding little Mike, because little Mike always felt good at that time. But guess what? I'm Big Mike, and Big Mike does not feel good after I get the Cheetos. Like, I literally I'm just like, I could have just went without having the Cheetos.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so crazy. Like, once you do that, it's a game changer. I remember the first time I had that kind of realization of connecting the two, right? Like, put it like you said connecting something to your trigger, to the
Yeah.
craving. Yeah. The first time I did that, I had jumped off of a call with Tutor, and he challenged me to do something along those lines. But we narrowed it down to like my mom having a big influence on who I am today. And sorry about the sniffles. I've got an orange tree right outside my house.
I know what you're dealing with. I got the sniffles too, and it's been happening all week long. It was really hot, and things are blooming, and
totally.
Yeah.
So Tuesday, I think, when that was like the first beautiful day we had this week. Maybe it was Monday, but my neighbor was like, "Oh yeah, if you want some oranges, just feel free to grab some, but you got to climb up in the tree to get some." And I'm like, "Oh, sweet, I love climbing trees." So I went up there with my backpack, and it turned out the oranges weren't that good, but I can't, and I wasn't even thinking about like how much I'm just covering myself in pollen. Came back down, came up to my apartment, and I probably spent like 4 or 5 hours of just like just the worst allergies. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Finally took a shower and I was fine after that.
Yeah. But the good thing is the sniffles is not a COVID symptom.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if someone has the sniffles, it's not COVID. It's the cough. It's the dry cough. Because
Nice.
it's dry. The sniffles is phlegm, so you don't have a dry cough.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Perfect. This whole time I've been trying to like hide and like mute the microphone so no one knows that.
Hide your cough. Hide your cough.
Got it. All right. Cool. If I start coughing, just start beatboxing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like that.
Anyway, yeah. So the first time I realized that this is a thing, and I experienced like the impact of it all was when I acknowledged this feeling that I really wanted to go and get a cheeseburger when I wanted it, but I didn't need it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a craving. And I sat down and I thought about mom. And I thought about like some not arguments, but like, because I never really argued with my mom. I was always in trouble. So my mom was yelling, disciplining me. But I remember like in those moments of my mom telling me, you don't do that, Chris, or you don't talk back, Chris, or I told you not to hang out with that person, Chris, or I told you not to treat your sisters like that, Chris. Like, I remember within that moment of her being like stressed out and like disciplining her son who acted out, she would stop and say, she would stop in the middle of the disciplining and say, let me think. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go home. When I get home, because we'd be in the car. When I get home, I want to make some fried onions and some sausage, and I'm gonna have a nice iced tea. That's what I'm gonna have. I can't wait. And she'd pause, and then she'd go right back into,
wow.
Chris, yeah, you don't do that, all right? You don't do that, Chris. Love my mom to death. I absolutely love my mom. We're best friends. But it was just interesting, like having a flashback and thinking about that, and like not like being conclusive of like what she was doing, but having my own theory of like how she was using these kind of food rewards or food elements to make her feel better in a stressful time. Because I know my mom grew up in a hard, single parent home where she helped out a lot, you know what I mean? And I think just looking at like our culture, if you will, my family history, like food was a big staple. Not necessarily healthy food, but food like made you feel good. And I remember my mom just like stopping midway, boom, oh, I can't wait to have this and that, and then coming right back in. So now like kind of like looking at that for me, seeing how much that influenced me to have a comparable relationship with food, right? It totally makes sense of like, yeah, like part of the reason why I'm doing this is because this is this is how I've been programmed, whether I like it or not.
Yeah, that's exactly, and that's something that because the programming from our parents, a lot of our parents don't realize that they're programming, right? That's a crazy concept.
Totally.
And a lot of the older generations don't want that oh, you're acting out this way because of me. It's not because of you. It's just what happened and that programming. So bringing up Quest is a big thing, that anything that I do, I'm just like very careful of like saying no a lot. You know, you'll hear a lot of kids go, no, 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 but it's because they're hearing that you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And like I was saying earlier, when you're with a child, I mean, Quest is only one, and he could comprehend, you know, basic things, but when he's grabbing something and you react to it, he loves the reaction. So then I have to like calm myself and then really just still talk to him. And I feel like he understands, and I feel like it's a better thing. But knowing that, hey, we're programming, we don't even just program our kids, we program the young people around us. And that goes again to like, we just have to be conscious of what we're doing, because that's you know, that's the basis of what filosofitness is gaining conscious of what we're doing with our movement, what we're doing in our lives, and what we're doing to affect everyone else around us. Because we, even if we don't want to, we make a lot of impact on many people's lives. And I think during these times where we're in this quarantine state, and I've mentioned it in the Q&A, is to reach out to people who have made the difference. So that's that positive programming that came in. Like to reach out to 3 friends or family members of saying, hey, I remember this time where you really helped me and this made a big difference. Lo and behold, you did not know you made a difference in that person's life. And one of my favorite things that I miss about coaching track and field at the high school, at the local high school, is at the end of the year, the seniors get together and they take a pool. Everybody donate or puts in like $5 or $10 and buys the coaches gifts, and each senior will talk about that coach. And there's like 4 or 5 coaches, and you have your own group of kids sometimes, and they'll talk and tell you what you did for them, and you didn't even realize it. A lot of these coaches are there because they were part of the program, because they were athletes, and I was an athlete of that program. 100% of our coaches, other than the head coach who started it 40 plus years ago, was a part of the program. And just knowing that you affected these kids' lives, maybe not in my terms, technically, like the technique wise, I'm like, this is garbage. But what you did do was give them a safe space to be themselves. You gave them, you let them have a space to express. And I think that's a big thing, because we're expressing ourselves when we have those cravings in a way that's how we had to cope with how someone else expressed themselves to us.
Yeah, because it's almost, I think initially we want to be mad and frustrated with the triggers and the responses, right? Mm-hmm. But if you really think about it and dive deep, these responses and these reactions that we have, and like the triggering, and how we how when we sabotage, self-sabotage, whatever, they've actually been things that have protected us. Yes. They've actually been things that have, that have nurtured us, right? So that's why I think it's even more important to acknowledge those things and not suppress those things, right? Reading a book right now that talks about a lot of like financial literacy stuff. But the beauty of this book, it's called The Millionaire Mind. They dive into the soil, again, the blueprint, like your money blueprint, essentially, of like why you have these specific associations and relationships with money. And he basically talks about how like part of the reason why you may have this specific mindset behind your finances is because your parents basically had to, they had to survive, and this is what they knew to survive. So their whole idea of money doesn't grow on trees, go get a job, things like that, instead of try to create passive income, whatever it is, they had this initial thought of how to get money because that's what it took to survive, and it helped them to survive, right? So kind of going back to like this realm, it's interesting, like you said, how some of us will do some things and not necessarily ask questions about it, but if you dig deep, it's something that has actually saved us or protected us. So that's why I think it's good to love on ourselves and show empathy and things like that, because again, it helped us in the past. Now it's acknowledging it. And then the next step from there is like, okay, cool. Well, is this helping you build the empire that you want, or is it maybe helping you destroy it, or preventing you from being the person that you want to be? Because now we have to be, now that you've acknowledged and thanked that little you for having this defense mechanism that saved you a lot of times throughout your life. How can we utilize this superpower or this thing to help you become the person that you want to be? Real quick, they tell a really cool story in the book about a husband and wife, and they're hanging out in the kitchen, and the husband notices that the wife, the wife's the cook of the house, and when she makes huge ham hock roasts, she always cuts off the ends, right? And he's like, hey babe, why do you always cut off the ends of the ham hock? And she's like, I don't know, that's what my mom did. And so story goes, mom was supposed to come over the weekend for dinner. So he's like, okay, cool. Let's just ask her when she comes over why she did it. Okay, cool. Comes over, asks her the same question. Hey, Mrs. So-and-so, why did you cut off the ends of your ham hock before you cooked it? She goes, I don't know. That's what my mom did. I'm like, okay, cool. All right. Well, let's call grandma and ask her. So they called her and say, Grandma, why did you cut off the ends of your ham hock before you cooked it? And she goes, because my pan was too small. So it's like some of us do these things automatically, right, without asking questions, only because it's what we've learned.
Yeah.
Where if we do a little bit of exploration, right, and dig a little bit deeper and do some work, and maybe we'll find out that part of the reason why we do this thing is because our pan was too small, right? Or it was something that we needed to do at the time. But do we need to do it now? Probably not, because we've got bigger pans now. We've got different lifestyles. We've got different environments. We've got, other supportive mechanisms in life now that allow us to keep the whole roast of ham in the oven, or to actually, do things differently and not have to set up these defense mechanisms. So I thought that was a really, really cool, simple, funny story of like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
It tied up our talk in a neat bow.
That's right. Nice and tight.
That's great. And if you guys loved this talk, if this resonated with you, because it should,
Totally.
because it resonates with all of us that there has been something, contact Coach Chris or contact me, and we could have a discussion. But coaches need coaches too, and that's where we go in with our coaches. And lo and behold, most of our coaches are within what we call the check system, and the check system is essentially it's just so many different styles of coaching, but we go under one structure, and we're really looking at what the human being or the human concept is: mind, body, and spirit.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
Anything from you, Coach Chris?
That is it. I think I'm excited for us to dive into giving back more during this time. We've got some really exciting things in terms of helping those who are on the front lines, who are every day risking their lives, risking their families' lives by taking care of people who are in need right now. So yeah, we're excited to do that. We've got some cool announcements coming up. Again, just super blessed and super grateful to be able to do what we do and to work with amazing people like yourself. And just this week for me, it's just been a solid week of gratitude. I feel very, very grateful. That's it. Just super grateful. That's it. That's all I got. But
all right.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys at one of our classes at the 12 p.m. or 5 p.m. And again, contact us even on days when we don't check in on you with you guys. Check in with us, right?
Yeah, we need you to check in with us too, all right?
All right, guys. Peace out.
Peace.